Kyle Rittenhouse and the developments from last week. So, you're not, if I may ask, and if you're not allowed to say, you're not formally on the criminal defense team as in attorney of record, but you're able to say that you're involved to some extent, or are you?
Yes. Well, yeah, I've been hired, and I'm basically replacing John Pierce at this point. So representing him in the court of public opinion, may make a formal appearance in the criminal case at some point. Will handle any civil cases that come up. So I'm involved in the criminal defense. Just haven't made an appearance at this point, and not clear if that becomes necessary or not. So the Mark Richards is handling the criminal case at this point, is the lawyer of record. Once I make an appearance, there are certain limitations that come with that. Until I make an appearance, there are certain limitations that are not present.
Okay. So let's start with the question number one. My understanding is he is now in which state is he in now that he got released from?
So it's in Wisconsin. Well, what's extraordinary is it's kind of like what the impeachment was like. The degree of gaslighting the prosecutor is attempting is amazing. Like, you really look at an honorable, honest prosecutor, and 90% or more of prosecutors across the country would not have brought the charges this prosecutor brought. So I was always curious, why is he bringing these charges when almost no one else would, looking at the facts that all of us can see? It's because he's committed to gaslighting the world about what happened in Kenosha. That the narrative the media is trying to spread is a narrative of there are these nice, peaceful protesters in Kenosha that this terrible people came and disrupted from the right. It was like, what in the world what world are you living in? So in their world, nobody looted, apparently. Nobody really committed arson. Almost everybody causing violence in Kenosha in the name of quote unquote protesting was doing so illegally and was from outside of Kenosha. It's extraordinary the degree to which they're trying to gaslight people by using the Kyle Rittenhouse case to build a fake narrative about what happened, similar to where they're almost shocked that anybody talked about the violence in the impeachment proceedings, as if the summer of violence didn't occur, that the only violence that's ever happened was what happened on Capitol Hill. There was no violence during the summer by BLM. There was no violence by, what are you talking about? I mean, they live in their own intense echo chamber that they're trying to even intensify further. So that's the bigger backstory. The second thing is, so when Kyle was initially at his first bail hearing, prior to that bail hearing, his lawyer advised the prosecutor that what the prosecutor knew or should have known, which is that Kyle's been subject to an extraordinary range of personal threats to assault him, threats to hurt him, threats to kill him, threats to rape him, you name it.
And sort of clear, these are not that there's serious threats and not serious threats. There are some that are more internet, Twitter type threats, just people mouthing off. These are probably more what most people would consider to be realistic and actually motivated threats.
It has an imminent nexus because of the people's ability to do so. Like, when you look at true threats jurisdiction, you're looking at how committed is this person to doing this? How expressly illicit is it? How capable are they of actually doing so, temporally, geographically, and otherwise? And here, given the volume of threats, where the threats were coming from, who was making those threats, if he got jailed, there was a high likelihood of him potentially even being killed. And if his address was known, there was a high likelihood of that occurred. Well, how did the prosecutor handle it? The prosecutor handled it by using that information not to say, well, you know what, we should come up with a different solution on bail. Instead, the prosecutor used it to try to get his bail as high as possible so he could jail Kyle. That shows you how dishonorable, dishonest, and corrupt this prosecutor is.
But just explain it in a way that anyone can understand. They were not in a way that the people who think that this might be warranted can understand, because the prosecutor was insisting that his public address be disclosed.
That's the second stage.
Okay,
so stage one is he finds this out at the first bail hearing. He uses that to demand a $2 million bail, likely hoping that Kyle, coming from a poor family, would be unable to post that bail, though he knew the likely consequence of it could be the death of Kyle Rittenhouse, or at least assaults and hurts in jail. So then what happens is the months pass. A couple of months later, he decides to try to amend bail again. Again, what he's doing is he's using the bail proceedings to contaminate the court of public opinion, to gaslight Kenosha and the country about what took place there. and he has him in photographs with other people he didn't even know, misrepresents what took place. They still, and they said the OK sign was a white supremacist sign, a blatant lie, but the prosecutor knows he can get away with it because he's filing it in court, and he knows the media will be glad to run with it because they want to build the same fake news story. That's the second time he misuses bail, but it won't be the last. Now came the third time. So last week, or thereabouts, he files a bail motion, which says he's shocked. He doesn't know where Kyle Rittenhouse is. He had no idea that Kyle Rittenhouse was at an undisclosed location. It's all news to him. Total lies. The prosecutor is a liar and a fraud. He's unethical. He's dishonorable and dishonest. So that's what he does. Here's a little problem for the prosecutor. There's video of him telling the prior judge that he knew Kyle was going to be an undisclosed location for his security and safety, but using that fact to try to increase Kyle's bail at that time. So for him to say he had no idea that Kyle was in an undisclosed was a complete lie. But they run with it. The media ran with all these stories. Kyle missing, Kyle gone rogue, Kyle lost, Kyle breaks bail. All lies. And the prosecutor knows they're lies. So he gets in front of the judge, and the prosecutor's mistake was, this is a no-nonsense, old-school Wisconsin judge. He's not a defense-friendly judge. He's an ex-prosecutor, but he's a judge who takes his oath seriously. He's not going to hear any nonsense. He's not going to violate rules because it might be popular with some part of the press or the public. And he just goes through. He goes, look, you knew this all along. There's no requirement he be at a physically located presence. Most people on bail are not at the place that is their address. Many people change addresses while they're out on bail, and many of them don't disclose it. I've never revoked bail or increased bail ever. And then he said there is a serious concern about this kid's safety, and he doesn't want any more riotous conflicts taking place. The prosecutor admits in this proceeding that people have been harassing the prior neighbors of Kyle, looking for Kyle at his prior home. To give you an idea of how imminent this threat is. As soon as it was announced that I would be representing Kyle Rittenhouse, I got threats to Kyle sent directly to me to people. That's what's going on. And why this prosecutor wants Kyle Rittenhouse hurt or dead is an open question, but that's what his behavior points to.
It is he effectively wants him doxxed. I mean, I don't understand how. I understand how he's doing it. I don't understand how anybody can even contemplate the idea. Like, what does the judge? How does the judge react to this, especially given what you say is the prosecutor's knowledge of why they asked for such high bail in the first place? Well, how does the judge react?
The prosecutor forgot he put that on the record before, and he admitted it implicitly when he said that, hey, by the way, these other people are his neighbors in Antioch, where he used to live, are getting harassed. Well, why are they getting harassed? Because people looking for Kyle and not for good purposes. And so he knows this, but he demanded to dox Kyle's name and a location. Previously, the defense lawyer had asked him, here, we'll give everybody, the law enforcement, everybody his address, as long as we can put it under seal. Prosecutor refused. Prosecutor claimed there was a public right to know where Kyle is. Completely false. Not only this dishonorable, dishonest prosecutor claimed that bail was not a constitutional right, claimed it was a privilege. These are some of the most morally offensive, constitutionally offensive conduct I've seen from a prosecutor in my life. This guy is at the bottom of the gutter when it comes to ethics and constitutional concern. But his only mistake was that an honorable, honest judge was not going to give into that. And that's why what the judge said is, not only did the judge correctly, he said, look, we've had too much violence already. There's the courthouse in Kenosha still hasn't been fixed from what the rioters and looters did in the name of Jacob Blake. They weren't really there for Jacob Blake. A lot of them were criminals with criminal history who came down there to terrorize the town of Kenosha. And Kyle just got caught in the middle of trying to defend and protect the people of Kenosha and the property of Kenosha and his friends in Kenosha. And this lying prosecutor thinks he can get away with weaponizing the bail process and abusing and misusing that process to such an extreme degree that even I've never witnessed. And I've witnessed some crazy things in my life. So the judge refused to increase the bail, refused to revoke the bail, refused to publicly disclose his address, and recognizing this prosecutor could not be trusted. He didn't put it this way, but this is my implicit interpretation. Refused to allow the prosecutor to know where Kyle was. He said law enforcement can know, I as a court can know, but we're done with the prosecutor knowing, because quite rightly, the prosecutor cannot be trusted.
That's I mean, yeah, that does not require Matlock sleuthing to actually deduce. That's an insult to the prosecutor in that he suspects he would leak the information, and the media might run with a story that inadvertently discloses where he might be. That's fascinating. So I mean, what happens next now? I guess.
So the prosecutor threatened to issue a felony bail warrant. A felony bail jumping warrant, which would be ludicrous. There's no basis for that whatsoever. One, it'd be another attempt to use the bail process to contaminate the court of public opinion against Kyle, to continue this gaslighting narrative that it wasn't the outsiders that came to terrorize people that day that were the problem, but somehow a little kid just trying to do what he could to defend himself and the people around him. And so he may continue to do that. So we'll see. I mean, this clearly is a prosecutor who knows no ethical limits of any kind. And so it's going to be a real legal battle. It's going to be a battle in the court of public opinion. There's tons of people who believe false things now about Kyle, that think Kyle has no association with white supremacists. Kyle has no association with militia people. Kyle has no association with any of that. He has got no criminal history of any seriousness, period. He's just a poor kid from a poor family. They thought they could railroad, and they're still seeking to railroad and legally lynch if they can get away with it. And so it's going to be a real legal political battle to protect him and to make sure the law is done. The good thing is you have an honorable, honest, conscientious judge who takes his oath to the Constitution seriously and isn't going to put up with any nonsense. He's an old school kind of Wisconsin judge. I've known many of them. They're not people to mess around with. I would never do what this prosecutor did, which is basically lie to him. But I think that that does suggest some hope for a fair and honest trial with a fair and impartial jury, which I believe without doubt will find him not guilty of all charges, because what anybody who's witnessed the tape, I've had a lot of friends on the legal side of the left that have actually watched the tape. The key of the people that believe crazy things about him, they've never watched the tape.
Well, they've not only that, but they've never read the New York Times article. Now, I'm just going to have to be careful for 1 second because we have one dog who's not good, and I don't want. You want to take him upstairs? You want to say hi? Okay, you go away. Tom Viller says, I watched this hearing and the judge was great.
He's just a no-nonsense guy. He's not going to give you a lot of friendly rulings, but he's not going to tolerate any gibberish. And if you're right on the law and the Constitution and you can persuade him, he'll go that route. Been in front of, but it's rewarding to see judges like that, because in high-profile political cases, unfortunately, sometimes you don't. People can watch the Chicago 7 trial to see how that looked. It's great respect to the court as always, but it's reaffirmation for those people out there that think you can't trust the court system to ever resolve anything. Look at how this judge pushed back against all kinds of improper pressure to do the right thing. And so I have hope for the trial itself, have hope that the proceedings are going to be done. But there's a rogue prosecutor who's going to continue to try to do every crazy, corrupt thing he can to try to contaminate the trial.
Yeah, I mean, it's like that's not even something that requires. That's like trying to camouflage the obvious, where everybody on both sides knows exactly what he wants. It's just that some people might not mind it, given what they think of this kid already, and others will mind it. And you say anybody who doesn't have an opinion has never seen the videos. They've never read the New York Times article, which was pretty clear on it, which was why that it's gotten here was pretty surprising in the first place. So that's good. I mean, does it stay in front of the same judge? Is this judge going to have it until it goes to jury?
All the way through.
Okay, very interesting.